thoughtful vulgarity, where we, in the studio, try to make ourselves slightly less shallow, which is not hard to do. We will ask one question of the panel and have them try to answer it while fucked up drunk. Because you know at home how well it goes when an important question comes up 90 minutes after alcohol has been served. Politics, religion, why not? You're fucked up. What could possibly go wrong? Who could you offend? You've been warned. Good luck.
All right, in honor of Robin Williams and how many fucking years of laughter. So whatever the medium, whatever the venue, live on TV, doing whatever they do. What one performance, and we'll go a little bit younger, something influential. So like what one thing that you saw live on TV, taped, listened to the recording of, like what was the one like standalone performance that just blew you away when you were little? Like what did you watch or see or?
So this is going to of Robin Williams.
Of him or
no anybody. You can pick anybody, but
okay. But
if it was because my friend
Williams.
Gina, it said hers was, and I can't remember what the 82 was, and we can't decide if she means Reality, What a Concept, or if she means the follow-up one in like 82 on HBO. Like which one of those two is the one that really like threw her for a loop? And I saw both of them and I can't remember which one is the one. I'd have to re-listen to them to figure out which one of those two was the one that just was like lightning to my brain and made me want to I want to think faster. I was like, I'm not thinking fast enough. Clearly you can think faster and I just can't do it.
I don't feel that I am equipped to answer this question right now. I'm not understanding it.
For those of you watching the video feed,
I'm sorry.
Like what person, like in like what performance? You could have seen it live. You could have just seen it on TV. You could have heard just the recording of just stop. That's it. That's.
Molly just said Michael Jackson moonwalking on Motown 25. Blew her mind.
Yeah, nice. That's a good example.
So, and here's where I feel like I'm just getting things in my head because I was going with Robin Williams, and it was the first time that I saw him and Jonathan Winters on Mork and Mindy. And I saw those two connect, just thinking of Robin Williams.
And you know he was his primary caregiver as well? That he went out because Jonathan Winters suffered from horrible depression and mental illness.
Didn't know that.
And they all the comedians talk about that he went out and took care of him. He would drive to his house and personally care for him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Watching those two was
Mark
one of the
and
craziest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. And again, because of Dad, Mom, and I watching that and that all kind of flooding back, I just thought that was amazing. But if it's not about that, I feel like I'm letting, with what Molly said, get something planted because it was all about Prince and seeing Prince with the guitar shooting the purple out at the Grammys, I believe it was. Would that have been 84?
For Purple Rain, 84,
Purple
85.
Rain, 84, 85. And I feel like 84. And that, to me, was absolutely fucking amazing. So, I mean, and I feel like that got planted because she was talking about Motown with Michael Jackson.
what's the thing? Like, it could be like Ricky Martin at the Grammys when he did The Cup of Life, and all of a sudden you're like, hold on a minute, the Grammys just changed. You know what I mean? Like, what's that thing that just kind of stopped time for you? Go with that one?
Yeah, I think that I would because it just, to me, that changed. It wasn't about Madonna humping a stage or anything, which I think oddly was the same year. but it was just, and I think because he was hometown Prince, for me, that was a really big deal. So Molly planted that, but absolutely. That was a really big deal, him playing on there. So I think that would be
So my answer is going to be a little bit cheesy because it also will be a Robin Williams-y answer. And again, like I'm not intending to make this like the Robin Williams tribute show.
Are you talking just in general?
Yes.
Yeah, just in general.
That just made you just fucking stop.
Yeah.
When the Challenger exploded. Done.
Oh, I meant a performance, though.
Oh.
Like, I don't...
Done. There you go.
I'm not sure that was part of Christina McAuliffe's...
No,
Right.
not her resume.
No. I'm just talking like a performance.
Oh, performance
We're using
only.
Robin Williams as someone who, like,
Was a performer.
Because I was
all
saying,
done.
like, my friend Gina was talking about that was the thing that just kind of changed her direction of her
Got it.
personality.
Okay,
was-
I apologize. Go on.
Challenger.
Pieces
Well, no, because
horse feathers.
No,
Talk about
picturing,
misunderstanding the assignment.
I told you I don't think
Because
I'm
the
equipped to answer
moonwalk,
it.
the
Winks
moonwalk
Barbecue,
is so
2004.
comparable to the Challenger exploding.
Winks
No, just
Barbecue
something that you say-
2004.
Well played.
No, that was Clayton.
Horse feathers.
I said that.
Well done.
That
Fuck
just
off.
made me
all
laugh.
of you.
That-
Go on. hate
So
you.
I think that mine would be, and I really legitimately think that this would be my answer regardless. And I know I've said before that Dead Poet Society was my favorite movie when I was a little kid. I mean, I was like legitimately like pre-junior high when I watched this movie, and I just was so obsessed. And it was actually not the Robin Williams like piece of the movie that necessarily obsessed me. I don't know. It reminded me of like my uncle and my parents were really involved in Greek life in college, but at their university, at their college, Greek life wasn't like, let's get fucking wasted. It was really
Is that why they drink later on in life?
no,
so
but
much?
but no,
Like
I mean, they do
a
that.
sisterhood or a
But
brotherhood.
it was very much a
Is she
sisterhood,
understanding the question?
Yeah.
brotherhood. It was very
damn
much
it.
like my parents. Like when I watched Dead Poet Society, it reminded me of my family and what they had done at their small liberal arts college, and I wanted that. And I literally went out and I bought a one of those what are the little black and white ruled paper notebooks, and I started writing poetry. And I was in probably 6th grade, and I was writing poetry I was writing poetry that was normal, and I was writing poetry that was like trying to be deeper and darker than I really felt. And I was doing artwork on the back of my closet wall. Like, this movie moved me. And I used to just write and write and write and write. And I watched it all the time, and I cried, and I loved it, and I watched it secretly like late at night when I was supposed to be asleep, and I watched it on a Saturday afternoon, and my parents knew. And I loved this movie. It was one of my favorites of all time. I went on to really love the college movies Dazed and Confused and also Empire Records, which are more about just getting stoned, which I also went on to do in college. So I just want to put this into some context. I'm putting some context to my comments. But I will tell you, when I started college, I took a philosophy class and got an A++ in it and I was the only freshman in college that I knew that desperately wanted to come home to my dorm room and read philosophy books. And it was because I felt inspired to be collegiate because of Dead Poet Society. It was a movie that touched me as a 6th grader and as a high schooler, as a straight A student, and as a scholar, and as someone that wanted to continue my education. And like, it just so happens that it was a Robin Williams movie, but it was a movie that just touched me in a lot of ways. So that was kind of my like moment. It like changed my 6th grade mind.
And I have to say, like, sometimes when I travel, I'll end up, because I like to wander by myself and just kind of wander places. And like, I've ended up, one time I was with a friend. I wasn't really wandering, but he was a baseball umpire, and we were in Eugene, Oregon, in this old-fashioned baseball park that I swear was the one that they used in A League of Their Own. It was 1940s. The kid was running up and down the thing, changing the numbers. Like, they didn't have an electronic scoreboard.
cool.
It was still a kid, and that kind of
So
stuff.
amazing.
And there's at one point I was visiting somebody and wandering around and went to a little what looked, it wasn't an Ivy League school, clearly, because of where it was. But when you just walked around the campus, and I was just wandering around, it just felt like you could see them running. Like, you would just see the kids running out to go have their secret meeting in the forest. You know what I mean?
This was Northern NAU. The North Campus at NAU was the same way.
Yeah,
it was the old brick buildings and big old
sometimes
trees.
you just go somewhere and you see something and you're just like, ooh, I can just imagine this scene from a movie happening here. And I was
So
convinced
amazing.
that A League of Their Own was filmed in Eugene, Oregon for years afterwards.
Yeah, but that's it. That would be really my
It
like
turns out
moment.
there was more than one left that hadn't changed their scoreboard. And still had that little, and it's just the most charming thing to watch that little kid run up and down the plank and change the numbers on the board. Like
Thank
that
God
really
for
was.
that. It's really wonderful.
It really made you want like a glass of lemonade and a daiquiri in the car.
I thought you were going to say a hot dog.
All the shit
I
they
know.
were really doing in the 50s.
Yeah.
Well, I'm having a lemonade here, but me and Marcy are having a turquoise.
In the Bel Air.
We're having a daiquiri in the Bel Air.
Dark white. Having a dark
dark
white.
Just point
A
to it,
dark
bitch. Horse feathers.
Darquist.
Two things come to mind, and it's funny that you bring this up because I realized after we did Dancing with the Bars that I stood on the same stage as Donna Summer when I saw her live in concert there back in the mid 90s. And I completely didn't realize that at the time.
You
I'm
didn't
like,
say anything
I
about
didn't say
that.
anything because it occurred to me, I don't know, a week or so later. I'm like, oh my God, that's when she wore that horrible Jiminy Cricket looking
Yep.
jacket that I hated, that she just didn't look right in. But I remember seeing, like, I was in the present, because we've talked about it 100 times, that the Donna Summer Live and More album, the live from in LA in
Universal
the
Amphitheater.
Universal Amphitheater,
the one I
the
have.
live concert. I was so addicted to that from a child on, and still am. I can listen to the whole thing over and over and over, and it doesn't matter. That was so, for whatever, just my concert, and I love that so much. To see her live in person, I'm like, that's her.
Yeah.
That's her. I'm seeing, and obviously celebrity theater, you're no more than, 30 feet from the stage? I mean, you're right
yeah,
there.
you're close.
And I was like third row. I remember, like, I could just, because
Yeah.
that's the concert when she said, she did something and she said, I don't know why they say that about me. And I yelled, because you're Donna Summer, and her back was to me and she just snapped. She heard me say, because you're
love
Donna
it.
Summer. But that was just my, my
Yes,
mouth.
sir.
So that was that was one that really stood out, because I was in the presence of somebody that I had, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here with you, Al, because you've seen her I don't know how many times, but that was the first time I had seen her live in person. I was astounded that was the woman who was singing, all those songs from that live concert that I loved. The second one I would throw in there, and I don't know how I would equate these two. Years ago, when I was given the wonderful opportunity by Michael Fornelli to go see George Michael in concert, and I was that's when I learned that I only want to go to a concert in a box seat, because I don't fucking want to stand up and deal with all you people. But seeing George Michael in concert, I cried the entire first half, and not sobbing, crying, weeping. There was just a very slight tear from my eyes the entire first half of the concert, because somebody who had been so important in my entire life, musically and in so many other ways, the lookalike thing was part of it too. But I was in the same building, the same room, breathing the same air as that person, and it was just something I couldn't quite absorb. And once we got past the 20-minute intermission, I was then able to enjoy and dance and be happy and be all that. It was just, I was seeing somebody that I never ever thought I would ever see, because in the late 80s, he was like, I'll never tour again. I'll never sing. And he also said he would never sing Careless Whisper live again. He did all that shit because he was young and stupid.
Right.
So now, we started out this show, I mentioned that, maybe going to Las Vegas to see Culture Club, because that was the other, oddly, the other George in my life that I was so enthralled with Culture Club so much. Fortunately, I looked more like one than the other, because there would have been a whole different world.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And I've seen them. Like I
have never seen Culture
I
Club.
saw Culture Club's first American tour.
Yeah, I think I'd love to see that.
Even before that awful Karma Chameleon song was a
that
hit.
George Michael concert was so amazing.
I thought
Side
it was
note.
amazing.
No, it
and
was.
He
I own
was
it.
fabulous.
I own it on the DVD. Marnie and I drove to the West Valley because they released
Mirage.
Mirage. They released. There was one day in the entire North America they released the live concert, and it was played for one night only in a theater, and the only theater that in the Valley was out in El Mirage.
Yeah.
It was a chain out of California, and they had one theater. So we actually drove out.
Oh my gosh.
Went to the concert, and that's where the poster that's in my living room, the George Michael live concert. The manager of the theater gave it to me, because when we walked in, everybody was like,
Whoa.
"Who are you?"
Like, oh
And
my
we-
God, is this George Michael?
And we
oh my
sat-
God.
Oh, God.
I don't know, like front center, whatever.
Yeah.
We watched the whole
Yeah.
thing, and after we were done, everybody stood around and asked me questions for like
It
an
was
hour.
hysterical.
Like they wanted to know everything
fucking
about this and that, and blah, blah, blah.
awesome.
So that was very interesting. But
awesome.
then I bought that DVD, so I have that.
Because
And
it
he's-
was a good
It was,
fucking concert.
it was a fantastic
and
concert.
I just loved that, like, you know, in my opinion, I'd always loved George Michael, and I thought he was old and whatever this. I mean, I just thought, like, this
He's only
and that.
6 years older than me.
Well,
Yeah.
but he also had all the drug problems and all the, like, the
Yeah, but
rumors
there are
that plagued
things about
him.
that look a little bit older.
But he got on stage
Sure.
and did a hell of a performance.
Still can't dance
Fun
to save
and-
his life, but he pulls it off.
Great
And
show.
unfortunately made one costume selection that was suspiciously like Debbie Gibson.
I don't
In
remember.
Which
the
one is
monkey
that?
video where he's got the hat
Oh, the
and
hat.
suspenders.
You're right. Yes.
Please review all of the videos of Debbie Gibson before you choose the outfit for your next video, sir or ma'am. Horse feathers.
Al Perkins, what was the what? What do you? How would you answer this?
All right, well, I'd have to go the very first thing that I ever. Well, I'll just take a long time with it. Who gives a shit? We've been gone for a while. Stage wise, and Harrison kind of stole my answer, but I saw George M with
George
Joel
M.
Grey, the musical George M with Joel
Oh,
Grey.
okay.
It was the first musical I ever saw. I was a very little kid, 5 or 6 years old with my mom. And in Grand Old Flag, the tap dancers were all at it.
Yeah, great.
And-
Black.
They all jumped up and landed on
the
one
same
tap, and I
tap.
was like, we're fucking done. Like, this musical theater is all about me. And then because HBO is the greatest thing that invention of my entire life, 6 or 7 years old in my basement, I saw Bette Midler live at last.
Oh.
Saw it, and I did not understand 90% of the jokes. I just wanted to be part of whatever that was. Like I didn't know any of the songs. The thing in the wheelchair, the
Yeah.
thing with the ape, the Kong's hand raising.
Yeah.
And this was before the King Kong remake,
Yeah.
so I really was not
You
clear
were
at what King
lost.
Kong was. But she comes down on a giant monkey paw and like
You were
sings it.
in.
I was
Yeah.
in for every second of it. The dirty jokes, I didn't understand 90% of the jokes, but I just
How
needed.
old were you?
7 years old, 7 or
I
8.
love
Live at
it.
Last is
That's
from like
awesome.
75. And
That's awesome.
then it would be, well, the Live and More thing was because of the record. That wasn't the actual, it wasn't the live album that hooked me. It was that 45 of Last Dance. But years and years, yeah.
Does my rendition do it for you?
It really does.
Last Dance.
No.
Years and years later, I got to see, she did her triumphant return to the Universal Amphitheater in LA.
Were you
in the
there?
Spot, yes, in the spot where she
Recorded that album.
recorded Live and More. I was second row
Oh my God!
on
Come
the left.
That's like live.
And
live,
I
live for
lost my fucking mind because she was, and she had points where her voice wasn't.
that. She was old lady.
No, but she a couple times.
bit.
I saw her a lot of times in the winter, and she suffered from head colds, and sometimes she would cheat a note. The sister was known to hit a note or two for her. This voice, she knew she was back in LA, and she knew what she was selling, and she was on her game. She had, and as someone's talking about her costumes, because she always, one of her family members always dressed her. She would never spend money, or she designed her own. She always looked really bizarre on stage, and just never accentuated the right features. I was like, please spend money.
Oh, that,
she
like I said,
sounded
that
great.
Jiminy Cricket jacket she had
Was
on because she
horrible.
had a dunk. She had a butt. So she had this jacket that was split in the back, and it looked like when you see Jiminy Cricket
Yeah.
in old cartoons with the split back. That was what it was. And
And
I
then
was
So
she had a
interesting
big red
though
ass.
to say that like she has a big ass when now that's like where it's at.
but she looked like she had
Girls
mud
are
flaps. It looked
paying
horrible.
for giant asses now.
No.
Yeah. But in
It's
this one,
interesting.
she was on it. The costumes were good, and she did the only encore that I know of in her entire career, because she was in an industry city, and that crowd was into it. They knew that they were reliving Live and More. Everybody was like my age, if not older. And she did Last Dance, and you're used to, like, you could beg and scream, and she was never coming back. Last Dance was Last Dance.
Was the
Show's
last-
over, go home. And she came out because the crowd wouldn't go, and she did State of Independence, the John Anderson Vangelis song from the Donna Summer eponymous. Oh my God, the crowd, because everyone
Were
there.
people just like crying?
Oh my God,
and
they went
screaming?
ape shit. And then because that's
That
where-
has to feel good for an artist.
but We Are the World is based on State of Independence because Quincy Jones put together an all-star choir.
Oh, I have no idea. You're speaking.
Oh,
literally, it sounds like you're speaking Greek.
And
Prince, you don't. Comedy, duty.
But
somebody choir.
Bono says it's like the essential. Bono from YouTube
Got
says
him.
it's the essential. It's the essential song to know is "State of Independence" by Donna Summer.
Okay, I gotta
but
listen.
Quincy Jones, who produced all of Michael Jackson stuff, got all these people, actors, singers, everyone
I've
together.
seen the video.
And he
Yep.
brought them in.
You don't know We Are the World?
No,
yeah, I know
not
We Are the World.
But for State of Independence, they did that first. And when they had the idea, everybody from that's in We Are the World is in a song called State of Independence first in that same studio recording for Donna Summer. Because in 1982, she was
gotta
the bigger
Google that.
she was the bigger star than Michael Jackson. She was way bigger.
God, that just stressed me the fuck out.
So, anyways, so to have her come out, and then she brought everybody, and like everybody from the tour came out on stage, and everybody did the choir of State of Independence with her, and the audience went nuts.
You know, so...
And that really, I mean, I was an older one, but that just stopped it. And my friend was trash, and he's like, okay, this bitch can sing.
So next week, because he's brighter, can he go first? Because I would have had totally different
All right, what's your
answers.
answer then?
What's your follow-up, Marnie?
My follow-up. No, but truly, like thinking when people are putting or this, seeing the Eagles in concert.
Right, it's, I mean, like,
I saw the Eagles in concert at
That's
Sun
good.
Devil Stadium, and it wasn't like on the field, but it was the first row, and you could say I was a smoker. And let it go. I'm telling you, for being able to listen to it, like we were sitting there, and like everyone around us was smoking, and I was as polite as I could be with cigarettes when I dropped them. But I had my feet up. It was right where, like, right before you get on the field. I'm hanging out on a beautiful night, listening to the Eagles.
right.
All of them together with my feet up on the wall. I'm having a cigarette. I have a beer, and I thought,
Yeah, kill me now.
yeah, done. Just
if I were to
done.
die now,
What
I'd
a
be
good,
fine.
like, those
Good.
moments are just so good.
And like I said,
A
sometimes it's,
beautiful night outside.
sometimes it's live stuff. Sometimes it's just a recording. And I remember I was talking about the Robin Williams. Gina's was one of those first two. We just can't decide if
Yeah.
it's. We'd have to listen to it to know if it was Reality, What a Concept, or the second one.
Okay.
But that live on Broadway, we had a whole brunch one time. There was like 10 of us at the table talking about Robin Williams live on Broadway compared to Eddie Izzard Dressed to Kill.
Okay.
And like
Eddie
two,
And see, I would throw
two
in one
complete
Carlin.
Oh, Carlin, any of them. Any of them.
Yeah.
Any one of his HBO. The fact that people in the year of our Lord 2014 live their life without HBO, I don't understand. It's a,
Or without
it's a
knowing who
cultural
George Carlin
touchstone.
is. Yeah.
Because honestly, without HBO, George Carlin is
Yeah,
a
you're
mystery.
right, you're right.
The comedy of
It just-
George
it's
Carlin.
horrible.
Yeah, it's how.
Well, that's why you learned Rodney Dangerfield. A lot of his in the early 80s.
HBO.
You bet.
HBO comedy
Rodney's
hour.
place, and he used to have all kinds of comedians. That's where I learned that entire skit about the guy that goes, I was a teacher, and I used to give kids gold star for the day.
But
Archibald Barisal. That's that whole thing about he spell it. I'll tell you later,
You'll
but
have
it's
to.
a whole
Yeah,
thing.
that's awesome.
And I just cannot say enough about Robin Williams on HBO. And those concerts were Ellen, just
Yeah.
all
Oh my
of
God, Ellen's
those
Ellen's,
comedians.
like,
Like, how do you
feature.
know you've made it? You have your own HBO comedy special.
Nancy!
Good night, Richard.
Nancy!
Good night,
Hey,
honey. Thank you.
Oh, that's not Nancy. It's like my favorite Ellen.
I tripped
skit.
on that. I beware,
Hey, no,
caution.
I was
just- I was
Yellow
running.
tape. I was running.
I was running.
Caution.
Hysterical.
That's
Yeah.
not Nancy.
But it's a great point. But it's not until I see people like putting things, and I'm like, oh yeah, or this or that, yeah, big time.
But it's more fun to
Big
have you
time.
go first and fuck it up.
Then I'm just gonna always answer. I said my
Last.
answer
Go you
should
answer first and
But-
We'll have
last.
to change that.
But yeah, truly, Laura put on there. I don't know if you guys saw that when I
Katie's,
was meeting Rick
Katie's
Springfield.
drunk. By the way,
No,
Katie,
I'm
he
not
was all-
at all.
you know,
The gala is just coming
she's
up.
flying-
Everybody think about it.
When is the
It's horrible.
gala?
It's fucking February. I don't want to talk about
okay,
it.
well, this is okay,
Okay,
we got-
we're in August.
No, it's coming
Horse
up
feathers.
in my planning.
Horse feathers.
My planning
Wait,
life. It's
sometime.
coming up.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Everybody in the chat room, we'll see
What
you.
about the brains?
It's so fun. Chloe, a new listener. Oh my God, who else? Richard and Tomo and Laura and Molly
And
and Richard and
Kel.
Jeffrey. And you were
Harry
there, and
and-
you were there, and you were there.
Harry
Harry
Dick,
and Randy.
Harry and Randy. And
Oh,
I know,
yes.
I know who they are, but I can't place it.
Harry
It's
and
all right.
Randy.
Well, in spite of popular demand, we will be here again next week. We are going to be here consecutively for several weeks in a row, so please join us. Please, please, please. Thank you for being with us. It's the show on Q Talk America. Katie, Marnie, Al, I'm Clayton. Thank you for being with us. We will leave you with a parting word. We will see you next Tuesday!
You've been listening to the show on Q Talk America.